Welcome to FM Horror Nights, where the lights go out and the stories begin. Here we don't just tell horror stories, we pull you into them. From forgotten American legends to creatures lurking in the dark, every tale will crawl under your skin and stay with you long after you have stopped listening. So turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and don't look behind you. Because tonight you are not alone.
Welcome to the deep dive. Think about this. Beyond the usual sounds of the wild, what if something else is out there? Something unsettling. An entity that doesn't just haunt, but preys on our deepest connections. Today we're doing a deep dive into the Hollow Ones of Appalachia. It's this really chilling piece of folklore, often sort of erased, that just keeps sticking around in whispers and, frankly, terrifying stories. We've looked into old settler journals, some really spooky oral traditions passed down, and records of people just vanishing. We want to figure out why this legend is so persistent and, honestly, so scary.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that these aren't really described like your typical ghosts or demons. The lore paints them more like, parasitic predators. Their whole existence seems tied to mimicking people, deceiving them emotionally, and their most defining trait, according to the sources, it's their hollow voices, calling in the exact tone of someone you love.
That's what grabbed me right away in the early accounts, these patterns. Settlers pushing into Appalachia, 1800s. Men go hunting, poof, never come back. Kids disappearing, sometimes just yards from their own homes. And families reporting, hearing voices they knew, loved ones, right outside the cabin door at night.
Pleading, right, begging to be let in.
Exactly. Let me in, please. But they open the door. Nothing. Nobody there. What does that tell us about how these things targeted those isolated settlers?
Well, it really shows this profound weaponization of trust, doesn't it? It's psychological warfare, basically.
Yeah.
Locals whispered about them being tall, pale figures with no faces. Just gaping holes where the eyes and mouth should be.
No faces.
It's holes.
Yeah.
And the lore kind of suggests this almost vampiric idea that if you look into that void, into those holes, they can somehow steal your voice, your essence, maybe, and then they use that to lure your family, your loved ones. It's fascinating how it twists our need for connection, turning love itself into a weapon, a vulnerability.
That idea of deception is horrific enough.
Yeah.
But you found some specific accounts, right? Events that really cemented this legend.
Absolutely. There's one particularly chilling story from 1901. A small mining town in West Virginia, supposedly abandoned almost overnight.
Abandoned. Why?
Miners claim they were hearing children laughing down in the mine shafts. Problem was, no children lived anywhere near there.
Okay, that's creepy.
It gets worse. One survivor gave this incredibly vivid description, said he saw a creature, described it as having a body like thin, stretched skin over bone, real emaciated look, and its mouth. He said it wasn't really a mouth, just a hole. And when this hole opened wider, he heard his own mother calling his name.
Wow.
Even though she'd been dead for years.
Oh, man. And what happened to him?
That's the kicker. He disappeared 3 nights later. They found his cabin empty, door wide open. Outside, just these deep, claw-like impressions leading into the forest.
Gone, just like the others.
Which brings up a really important point. If this is so terrifying, why isn't it more widely known? Why is it still kind of niche folklore? Our research suggests it wasn't just forgotten. It seems like there was this systemic erasure happening, almost deliberate.
How so?
Well, entire communities that talked about these things, they just vanished from records. Churches actively suppressed the stories, called them unholy tales, Newspapers back then apparently refused to print accounts, maybe because it admitted a kind of vulnerability people didn't want to face in those frontier settlements.
So it's like a deliberate silencing.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, if this kind of fear, maybe this unwillingness to acknowledge certain deep-seated terrors, could actively bury history. What else might still be hidden? What other truths got silenced?
And it's not just history. Even today, you hear echoes, hikers deep in Appalachia, but also places like rural Alabama, even way out in Oregon. They still report hearing voices at night in the trees, calling them like deeper into the dark. Just imagine that for a second. You're out there alone, maybe miles from anywhere. It's pitch black. And then you hear it, clear as day. The voice of someone you love, calling for you, pulling you further in.
It's the ultimate test of instinct versus emotion, isn't it?
Absolutely. So look, based on everything we've found, if you ever find yourself deep in the woods and you hear a voice you know, someone you love, calling your name, please just don't follow it, don't answer back, don't even try to look into the trees to see where it's coming from.
Because what's calling you? It might not be them at all. It might just be waiting there. And if you look too long, you might never have a voice again.
And that was today's tale. But remember, some stories don't end when we stop telling them. They linger, waiting in the shadows of your room, in the silence after you hit pause. Thank you for joining me in the dark. If you enjoyed this nightmare, follow FM Horror Nights and never miss what lurks in the next episode. Until then, keep your lights on because you never know what's standing in the dark watching you. Goodbye.